March 31st, 1985, Madison Square Garden. It is the event that defines the WWF once and for all. Big, loud, star-studded, and over the top. WrestleMania is pure entertainment. And mortgaging everything they own, it's also the biggest gamble the McMahons have taken yet.
We had everything but the kids hawked, I think.
Well, we didn't have Stephanie, but I think we had Shane hawked.
Right. So, I mean, it was like, you know, if that had not been a success, we wouldn't be sitting here today. You know, rent in 200 facilities across the country, ever how many there were. I mean, you know, all that was upfront money, you know, and that was all we had.
But it's a phenomenal success. WrestleMania 1 helps establish the pay-per-view concept, a cornerstone of the WWF, a way to milk even more interest and money out of wrestling. Beamed to 200 closed-circuit TV locations around the country, the event draws an estimated 1 million viewers, putting McMahon's WWF squarely on the entertainment map.
It wasn't just wrestling, it was a major, major event. That was, Mick's metaphor, the kickoff, that first WrestleMania here at Madison Square Garden, for what has become this cultural phenomenon.
Yes or no? Are you or are you not gonna fight him in WrestleMania 3 for the World Heavyweight Championship? Yes or no? Yeah!
It's official. The most auspicious signing of the Heavyweight Championship match took place recently.
I've signed a lot of things, signed a lot of contracts. You never thought it would come to this. If you wanted a title shot, all you had to do was ask me. I'd have gave you anything, man. Andre, you were bigger than the world title to me. I'll sign it. Get your attention to WrestleMania.
You think I tell you everything you know in professional wrestling? But I didn't. And believe me, WrestleMania 3 will be your last lesson. Au revoir.
One that would alter the course of WWE forever.
We were doing things that no one had ever done or even thought to have done in this type of business. As a younger man at the time and someone who had no boundaries, why not go for the biggest venue we can possibly find?
Change that. Oh yeah, it's been hard to live with, man. Fee, fi, fo, fum, Andre. 1 long year, and your time has come, man. No marks, no scars, no blemishes on the Hulkster, brother. But inside, man, I've been scarred for 1 long year. Everywhere I go, man, all the little Hulksters ask me, is there any truth to the fact that there was a controversial count? Hulkster, did you really get him over your head? Did you really beat the Giants? Well, today, man, in WrestleMania 4, we're gonna wipe all that controversy out. Andre the Giant, in the second round, when you're fresh as a daisy, with the whole world watching, I'm gonna prove, brother, that I can beat you any power. And the power of the madness and the mania just blew my 24-inch guns out, man.
You mean to tell me there is another solar system, Macho Man?
With the mega, the mega powers, yeah. Mega powers, yeah!
It's interesting because both wanted the spotlight, and both would do any number of things to edge the other one out in the spotlight, which to me was humorous. At the same time, it had to be managed because otherwise you could have a real problem. It was an interesting dynamic because, quite frankly, you had the woman in between the two guys, and that always led to an interesting scenario.
The experience was great working with him. No matter where Randy was personally or just really was the consummate professional when it came to what this business is all about.
Hulk Hogan, what was it like in the Royal Rumble when you first felt the power of the Ultimate Warrior?
Well, you know, in the Royal Rumble, Vincent McMahon, Hulkamania rumbled the whole WWF, brother, and I felt Hulkamania at its highest. I felt Hulkamania at its peak, but when I turned and I saw the Ultimate Warrior, when I saw him stalk me and all my Hulkamaniacs, and then when we finally collided in the center of the ring, I'll swear by my God, that was the strongest, most powerful force that ever attacked Hulkamania.
Vince knew how big this was, you know, the Ultimate Maniac versus the Ultimate Warrior. I mean, Vince knew that these two entities were monsters, so you didn't have to do a whole heck of a lot. Just a little stare down, just a little bumperooski into each other, it was pretty much there. You know, all you had to do was issue the challenge, put both belts up. It was magic.
Ultimate Warrior. Me and my Hulkamaniacs put the WWF Championship on the line. We challenge you, Warrior. We've got to know what the strongest force is in the WWF.
Be ready.
Well, you know something, Mean Gene? Yeah, we're 1 week away, and I should have known that wherever Sergeant Slaughter was, he'd have General Adnan with him, brother. I knew that his forces would be sneaking around and behind his back all the way, brother. But when I was in the ring with General Adnan, man, even with Sergeant Slaughter on my back, jabbing me with that flag, covering my body with that flag, I felt the energy of all my little Hulkamaniacs, brother. And there's no way in God's green earth he's ever going to beat me in WrestleMania 7.
I look around this room, I see 5 of the great WWF superstars, but 5 guys that were in the ring with me the night I won this. As a matter of fact, there were 29 men in the ring the night I won this. So whether they like it or whether you like it, it's too bad. Because everybody in the sport of professional wrestling knows that WrestleMania, the biggest extravaganza in sports today, looms on the horizon. And for Ric Flair, it means a defense, a title defense of this, the World Wrestling Federation title. Hulk Hogan, Roddy Piper, The Undertaker, Randy Savage, Sid Justice, it doesn't make any difference to me. They were all in the ring the night I won this. So at WrestleMania, just as I walk in the champion, I'll walk out the champion, and that's the bottom line. Woo! Hulkamaniacs, I told you this thing would turn full circle, man. Now the battle lines are drawn. Ric Flair has the WWF title. The so-called real world champion is going to find out what the power of Hulkamania is all about in WrestleMania 8. And what you going to do, Ric Flair, when Hulk Hogan and his little maniacs run wild on you?
Liked it. And he said, well, let's try it. So it was kind of a twofold deal. It was one, he wanted to get the title on Hogan for in his head to add value to the European tour, and 2, let's try this encore presentation because it's a unique approach. You talk about what you're going to expect in your promotion for an event. Now after the event you can promote holy shit what you missed. So for those of you that didn't buy the pay-per-view event, this weekend, all weekend long, you're going to have another opportunity to see it and see Hulk Hogan become the WWF champion. So yes, we knew in advance, and we had already put the wheels in motion to have the encore the next weekend and had all those spots, and we would have everything ready for Monday to promote that. It was not organic. It did not happen that weekend.
Meltzer even wrote as much, saying on television Monday night they announced that YOKOZUNA was filing a protest and that a ruling would be made on television as to the future of the title. The ads for the replay of Mania talk about seeing the title change hands twice in the same night at the greatest WrestleMania ever. So it's clearly a marketing ploy from the beginning.
I think it was the first moment Owen ever got. He got that chance that he had long deserved and finally got to show everybody that he was a real good talent. I think we surprised everybody, including my parents, at how good it was. It turned into a really proud moment for them, both their sons on the world stage. The things I remember most about WrestleMania 10 as far as winning the title from Yoko was the moment after when all the wrestlers came to the ring and hoisted me up on their shoulders, because I think that was all very spontaneous.
And I did it because of the huge, massive ego that I have. But I also did it for the love that I have of this sport. Granted, whether you like me or you dislike me, the fact of the matter is you will not ever in your lives see a man more charismatic, more flamboyant, or more talented than the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels. And at WrestleMania 11, the World Wrestling Federation is putting the past behind them. We are about to embark on a new generation.
I can't really think of a whole lot left to say. Everybody knows the story. Now it's just time for the final chapter.
Well, you know, for me, it's just the whole thing's finally coming to a head, you know. It's do or die, and, you know, 60-minute Iron Man match, we're going to find out just how good Shawn Michaels is. I think everyone's going to see just how good I am. And I think the way I look at it is one man's sunset is another man's dawn. And tomorrow morning, I just want to wake up tomorrow morning with this.
I knew this would be a match that would ultimately change our destinies.
Puts that sharpshooter on me, and man, there I am in that hole in the middle of that ring, and blood is pouring out of my forehead.
I can say one thing, Steve had a lot of trust in me. It's like, trust me to get you where you need to go, and I'll get you there. And Steve did, and we got there.
With everything it takes in me, I put my hands down, push them into that mat, and I start pushing up to try to break that sharpshooter, and that's when it really comes. The blood comes through my eyes and starts pouring through my teeth, and it's one of the greatest visuals that you'll ever see in sports entertainment.
The blood in the match gave him that sympathy, that sort of a big...
I'm laying there in that pool of blood, and I was just thinking, man, listening to the crowd and what was going on, it was one of the greatest, you know, moments of my life. And it was damn near like the best orgasm I ever had. If I'd had a cigarette, I'd probably smoked it.
Artistically, I think it's maybe the greatest match I ever had. I don't know if I've ever been more proud of that match for just the simple fact, you look at it frame by frame, it's a beautiful one.
There goes Michaels! Mike Tyson has knocked out Shawn Michaels!
Wow, what can I say? Shawn had sour grapes. You know, I was against referee. I have to be fair, and Stone Cold won.
I think it was huge that Mike Tyson was a part of WrestleMania 14. Mike made WrestleMania even bigger. And Shawn, that punch he took, it looked pretty rough.
I can't explain the damn feeling that night. To be there in Boston, to win your first world championship from the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. For me to go out there and win that title from him was very special to me. For me, what that belt means is this company thinks you can take them to the promised land. Man, this is a stamp that says, hey, you're our guy, we're going with you.
When Austin and Rock got in the ring and they would engage each other verbally, most fans didn't realize that what they were doing was organic. It was two guys that believed in who they were and what they were, and if you look back at some of the interviews they did, they weren't scripted. They were exactly how the two men felt.
The greatest book ever written is the one titled The Rock versus Stone Cold. And the beauty of this book is this, is it has infinite chapters, which means, Stone Cold, for the rest of your natural-born life, The Rock will be kicking your monkey ass all over God's green earth.
Listen, The Rock is going to go out there, him and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Hey, listen, there's no love lost there. There's no denying that. There's a chemistry there. There's no denying that. These two guys, Stone Cold and The Rock, the Brahma Bull and the Rattlesnake, when they go ahead and get together, fireworks happen. That's what's going to happen. The Rock is going to go out there, one thing and one thing in mind. The Rock, hey, he's not going to, he's called spade a spade. The Rock's not going to go out there and say, hey, listen, The Rock is just going to have to go out there and pound Stone Cold's ass in the ground and make sure 1, 2, 3 happens, and he's going to, no. The Rock is going to go out there and do what he does best, and that's entertain, and that's kick a lot of ass. And, you know, The Rock has a whole spectrum. You know, The Rock does a whole nine. You know what I mean? whole cup of tea with The Rock. You go out there with Stone Cold Austin, do the same thing. That's what's going to happen.
Of course, that was big, and the reason why that was big was because it was record-setting, history-making. We did record-setting numbers that night. And of course, anytime you got The Rock's name in lights on the marquee, well, naturally, you're going to do big ratings, whether it's on TV or whether it's in a pay-per-view. So Stone Cold, once again, The Rock made your monkey-ass famous in WrestleMania.
After every backstabbing, after every win, after every loss, after everything they've thrown at The Rock, and after everything The Rock has thrown back, after every chokeslam, after every mandible claw, after every pedigree, The Rock says this. Is if he can do it all over again, he will say, finally, The Rock has come back to WrestleMania. And The Rock says this, it's not about the lights, it's not about the cameras, the glitz, the glamour, it's not about a blood to drop. Then The Rock says tonight he's gonna do exactly what he does best, and that is go out there and lay it, the smack it down on their candy asses. The Rock says he will do it for the millions and millions of Rock's fans. Do whatever it takes because The Rock, the people's champ, says tonight is the night. If you smell what The Rock is cooking.
The Rock is ready, King. He's waited a year to return to WrestleMania. Last year, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
We were chatty, but at the same time, there was still never animosity, but there was competition. I'm a man, you're a man. There's only one #1 spot, and I'm gonna take it. And he felt the exact same. And what's interesting, it wound up being arguably the greatest rivalry in the history of the WWE. And it's in that rivalry that in so many ways made The Rock.
We never ran in the same circles, we never traveled together, we didn't hang out together, but there was just a bond and a respect and a trust there. And for some reason, I brought out the best in The Rock, and he brought out the best in me.
They were the two biggest stars in the industry at the time, and of that generation, and they were colliding head on, and both wanting to be the best, and knowing that they can only look the best if the other guy looks equally as good.
I need to beat you, Rock. I need it more than anything that you could ever imagine.
Man, that's a recipe for a match that could go down as the best of all time.
The stage was set for one of the biggest nights in WWE history. The two greatest superstars of the Attitude Era would face off at the Show of Shows. The match was the most must-see attraction in all of entertainment.
They started putting some videos together with the Limp Bizkit song My Way, and we headed into WrestleMania 17 at the Astrodome in Houston, Texas, my stomping grounds, 100 miles from where I grew up. When my glass broke, the pop from that crowd, the light bulbs that went off, was astronomical.
The journey has culminated here tonight from spinal surgery.
When he made his entrance, everything, the flash bulbs, astronomical. We locked horns, and everybody came unglued.
It's on! They didn't waste any time, and nor did we think they would.
Working with a guy like Steve Austin at WrestleMania, the pinnacle event of the year, working with a guy who I have an incredible amount of chemistry with, who I absolutely, unequivocally love doing things with.
I had the best seat in the house for Austin versus The Rock at WrestleMania 17. For a kid that grew up as a wrestling fan, holy cow, man.
It was the opportunity to create something that was once in a lifetime, and I felt, we all felt, that we were going to give the fans something that they had never, ever expected.
I knew when I came back I had to deliver. The NWO thing was great for a little safeguard to walk in with Nash and Hall, but I knew when I was singled out and it was me and Rock, I knew I had to deliver.
The biggest matchup in the history of our industry, a matchup that will determine who will go down as the best. The Rock, Hulk Hogan, WrestleMania.
Look at this. And look at the flash bulbs. This is a WrestleMania moment. Those eyes on March 17th, 2002. You can circle that date on your calendar. Because I can tell you it's going to be a day that I'm never going to forget. Quite frankly, a match I thought I would never, ever see.
We'll never see Tyson and Ali. We'll never see Babe Ruth and Barry Bonds, but we are going to get to witness The Rock and the Hulk. Only at WrestleMania. And only in the WWF, JR. Unique.
Probably one of the questions I get asked most often is, what's the favorite match you ever called? My answer is the Icon versus Icon match, because these were the biggest fan favorites ever in the history of the WWE.
There's nobody better than The Rock, and I know that. I had matches with Randy Savage, had the Ric Flair matches, I've had the Andre matches, but I don't think I've ever been in the ring with anybody as good as him. So I'll be forever grateful for that one single main event, that we had. It was just unbelievable.
Has defeated Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania.
I was cool, which is just having been beaten. That was business.
After the 1, 2, 3, I kind of just sat up, and I really didn't know what I was going to say. I just wanted to say something to him. And after all the years of helping me and bringing me up, because you're only as good as your opponent.
He basically said, "I love you, brother," and he appreciated it. And that's what he said to me. And told him I love you too.
That's what I said. Yeah, I told him, man, I love you and thank you. I can't thank you enough for everything you've done for me. And I meant that. And he kind of, love you too, man. It was something else. something else.
It was a hell of a moment. Two guys who had been through so much together, and this is time for us to separate and go down our separate roads. And it was a real emotional moment and a real special moment. And I've always loved The Rock, working with him and all that stuff. So that was real hard to do.
After the 1, 2, 3, I made a point to sit up and actually talk to him in the ring. Push the referee away. You can't hear this. And I said what I wanted only him to hear. There's something else, man. It's emotional.
Is it something you can tell us now?
No, you can't hear it.
54,000 people watching an arena. They probably knew something was going on, and however many people watch this, and I can sit here and just say, no, that was something that's going to be between me and The Rock. But there's a lot of things that I haven't shared in my life, but I will share that with you because it meant that much to me. Yeah, he said he loved me, and he said he sure appreciated it. And he goes, you don't know how much this means to me. And I told him, I said, I love you too. And he meant it, and I meant it. And it was just, in this business, you don't have a whole lot of friends, You just don't, because that's the way the system is. You have a lot of acquaintances, a lot of people you talk to, and a lot of people you run up and down the road with. But I consider The Rock a friend, and a good friend, and I wish him well. And I was glad to do that match. Finish my career with The Rock like that, and getting beat by The Rock.
There's no one I would rather work with than him. And, I admire him. I respect him. Proud to call him my friend.
The Rock and Mick Foley together at WrestleMania. The Rock and Sock Connection versus Evolution 2 versus 3 at WrestleMania 20.
The most electrifying tag team of all time, The Rock and Sock Connection.
At that time, I knew he hadn't had a wrestling match in a while, and so I realized it was a big deal.
WrestleMania 20, the biggest of them all.
So big, in fact, that when I was asked about it, I said, well, I thought Rock would only come back if it was a big deal. And I was told he does think this is a big deal. I was like, he does? I didn't think I was on a level of the guys that he would consider returning for. And so when he told me, yeah, this is a really big deal, it meant a lot to me.
One of those nights where the rest of your life you remember where you were that night. You will remember where you were the night Batista fell before the game.
I want to make one thing very clear. You are going to have to kill me to take this.
I will promise you this, because I'm sure all of you have gambled at one time or another. Double up, do whatever it takes. Bet the farm this Sunday, right here before your very eyes, I will become the 11-time heavyweight champion of the world.
I quickly found out that on Raw you truly have no friends. They're gonna realize that I take care of business.
Which is why it's gonna give me great pleasure in embarrassing the hell out of Donald Trump. I think America wants to see Donald Trump's head shaved bald. I don't think there's no doubt about that.
Vince McMahon will be leaving the arena bald.
What we got here is a couple of big egos and a big match. And Stone Cold Steve Austin is right in the thick of things. I'm going to call it right down the middle. And after this match, there will be a winner, there will be a loser, and there will be a bald billionaire.
Yeah, you dig? It's Money Mayweather and the McMahon boys. We run this show.
I took a year away from sports entertainment and wrestling, spent a year in Miami boxing, working my tail off, training, hitting the bag, hitting the mitts, doing all the work. I come back to wrestling because I couldn't get a fight in boxing, and I wind up in the ring with a great boxer. I will not only walk out WWE champion, but no longer will I be known as the Legend Killer. March 30th, I will be known as a legend.
Adventure, you think of some of the humor, you think of a soap opera, you think of a rock concert, you think of all things that are WWE. So that's the wrestling portion of what we do. The entertainment portion, well, again, that's what we do better than anyone else in the world, is entertain our audience. And that's what we're going to do at this year's WrestleMania. Is
So that inspiration, that I am more motivated and fired up to bring you something special for WrestleMania than I ever have been before. I guarantee that I was going to electrify WrestleMania, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. We're going to go into the Georgia Dome, and we're going to electrify it. And what I mean by we, I mean The Rock and the millions. I'm sorry. I'm just getting excited. I'm getting excited. I know what you're hungry for. I know what you've been wanting.
You know why men around the world, John? You know why men don't respect you, don't like you? You know why you're down in Australia? You're angry at the crowd because they were quiet during your match? You know why you go to your own hometown in Boston and they boo you? You know why? The Rock will tell you why. Because The Rock is a man. And The Rock represents a majority of men around the world. We don't like you. We don't respect you. Why? Because we, us men, see through bullshit. And we smell a phony punk a mile away. We see the phoniness. We hear the phoniness. And witness the phoniness every single night. You're on the microphone, phony. You're in the middle of the ring, phony. You graduate from a private high school and then you go hardcore thugonomics. Phony. We, The Rock team, bring it. We are gonna whoop your phony ass. If you smell what The Rock, you know the rest, John.